Hi there, everybody. This is Pastor Charlie. It's Wednesday, the 22nd of April. I hope that you are all well as you receive this message today. On Monday, we started reading through the Gospel of Mark together, and I hope that you've been joining in with those readings. We have made our way through Mark chapter 1 on Monday and Tuesday, and today we move through the first 22 verses of Mark chapter 2. There's lots going on in here. Mark moves from story to story to story, as you would expect with Mark's fast-paced style of storytelling. The first story that we're told is the story of when Jesus went to a home and was beginning to teach there, and he drew a crowd that was so vast that those who were on the outer edges of the crowd could not see even or get close to Jesus. There were 4 men who came along that day, and they were bringing their friend on a mat. Their friend was disabled and unable to walk, from what we can tell. They carried him to the house, and they couldn't get anywhere close, but they were so determined to get their friend the help that he needed from Jesus that they decided to climb up on top of the house and to beat their way through the roof, creating a hole so that they could lower their friend down to see Jesus. Now, I don't know what goes through the mind of a person as they look at all the options around them and make a final decision to beat a hole in a roof. But it is proof of the determination of these 4 friends, the commitment of these 4 friends to get their friend what he needed in that moment. Of course, the story goes on to say that Jesus did heal the man, invited him to stand up, take his mat and walk, and then Jesus had a conversation about with Pharisees about what had actually happened in that moment. That's possibly the main point of the story, but my attention today is drawn to the 4 friends who have this dogged determination to get their friend to Jesus. We're living in these strange times. We've said that again and again. But in these strange times, we are asked to look out for one another in our community. We are asked to be dogged in our determination to do the right thing for one another in this community. Now, I know and understand that it's getting really old. It's old for me. It's old for all of you too. But we are still called to do our very best for those around us, and to do our very best to lessen the spreading of this virus. And so far, from what I can tell, we've been doing so well in this neck of the woods, and my prayer is that we would continue to do that we would be like these 4 determined friends who got their friend to Jesus. We would be like that, showing the same determination in these days to protect our own community. Then we have the story in Mark chapter 2 after that of the calling of a disciple named Levi. And it's a very short account. And Jesus is walking along the lakeside, goes up to a guy called Levi and says, "Follow me." And then Levi does indeed follow him, leaves his tax collector's booth and goes with Jesus wherever he will lead. I am always so struck by the willingness of James and John, the sons of Zebedee, who left their dad and their boat and their nets, or the determination and the commitment and the decision to follow that Levi takes in this passage as well. It's staggering to think that someone would come up to any one of us on going about our daily business, and when we were asked to follow that person, that we would just get up and do it. Levi did that. As I've already said, we are being called to follow Jesus in a way at the minute that protects our neighbourhood. But the days will come in the weeks and months ahead when we will be called in a different direction by Jesus, out into our community to help those who have really had to struggle through this season that we're going through, and whose struggles will continue. It's my hope and it's my prayer that we all will continue to follow Jesus wherever he leads in these days and in the days and months ahead of us, and that we will always be willing to do the things that Jesus is calling us to do. The final part of this story and this chapter is when Jesus' disciples get asked about fasting. And that leads into a short parable at the end of the section that we've been reading today, where Jesus says these words: No one sews a piece of unshrunk cloth on an old cloak, otherwise the patch pulls away from it, the new from the old, and a worse tear is made. And no one puts new wine into old wineskins, otherwise the wine will burst the skins, and the wine is lost, and so are the skins. But one puts new wine into fresh wineskins. I think what Mark was trying to say to people was that when Jesus comes into our lives, we've got to be a completely new wineskin. The old is gone and the new must come. If we are to contain all that Jesus has for us, and if we are to follow and go in the strength of Jesus into the world and to serve in the way that he calls us to, then we've got to be like that new wineskin. All of our preconceptions about Jesus, all the ideas that we think we may have established and were final in our lives, I think if we become new wineskins, we open up ourselves to a Jesus who is calling us into different parts of the world. Today, as we read through Mark chapter 2, I hope that every single one of us are like those new wineskins, who are open and who are ready to contain the new wine of Christ, who are willing to follow Christ like Levi did, into the world, wherever Jesus leads us, to do whatever Jesus calls us to do. My prayer is that we will be like one of those 4 friends, willing to look out for each other, willing to do what it takes to get our friends to Jesus for whatever they need. Friends, Mark's Gospel is amazing. Keep reading in it. Finish off Mark chapter 2 tomorrow, and I'll be back with another thought on Friday. God bless you and take care.